All right, good morning, everybody. We're just waiting for folks to join, so give us 1 or 2 minutes and we'll get started. All right, for those folks that are just joining us, we're going to wait 1 more minute for everybody to continue to join the webinar. We'll start in about 1 minute. All right. Well, let's get going. Hello, everybody. Good morning and welcome to our webinar. This is a joint session between Noesis and Outsystems as part of their AppVenture series, where we talk about specific use cases and specific applications. Thank you for being with us. My name is Steve Shaw. I'm with Noesis, and I'm responsible for sales here in North America. And with me, I've got Russell Youngblood. He's a solution architect with Outsystems. And I also have Jose Figueredo, who's a low-code solution senior specialist. So welcome, Russell. Welcome, Jose.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
All right. So, guys, we've got a lot to cover today. We're going to talk, about a particular topic, one we call improving risk management during clinical trials. We're going to focus a little bit about how pharmas can manage the financial risks of the clinical trial, because a lot of pharmas this is their biggest expense, right? So you need the ability to forecast, manage, and track all of that trial financial information. Today, a lot of companies do that with spreadsheets, and that's perfectly fine. But when you have multiple trials and multiple sites and multiple people and stakeholders involved, it gets pretty complex, okay? What we wanted to do is show you how we leveraged a proof of concept approach by using Outsystems, which is a modern application development platform, to build out a solution that kind of tackles this specific problem area. Okay, so Russell's going to start out by giving you an overview of Outsystems and how this specific technology is being used in the pharma and healthcare industry. And then Jose and I will dive into an actual use case of an app that we developed in conjunction with another customer, prospective customer, really, to kind of improve that risk management during the clinical trial moment. We're also going to show you how fast and efficient it is to tackle this kind of a problem using Outsystems. And so you'll be able to see firsthand, well, wow, what did they build in a short period of time? And then, how easy is it for somebody to change and evolve an application using the platform, okay? But before we kind of dive into that, I just want to kind of tell you just a little bit about Noesis. So we are an international consultancy. We have about 1,000 consultants. We've been doing this a long time, over 25 years, and we have operations throughout the world. And we take on projects throughout the world. So whether it's in Spain, Portugal, Ireland, Netherlands, Brazil, the United States, we have customers in all those geographies, and our customers and us have a very, very close relationship, and we love to continue that. In terms of how we operate, we have different areas, different business units that we can offer to our customers in terms of our services portfolio. It basically allows us to offer what we call an end-to-end approach or solution to our customers, whether it's going to be infrastructure or cloud or cybersecurity or software development, data analytics, AI quality. doesn't really matter. If customer wants all of that or some of that, we're able to deliver on those. And then when it comes to the Outsystems technology, this is technology that's been out there for 20 years, but has always evolved itself. It is the market leader when it comes to low code development and building solutions very, very quickly. We've been doing this since 2008. So we've established a very large practice in terms of 150 consultants who have been certified at different levels of the technology, whether it's going to be web, mobile, some sort of a hybrid approach, and then managing the infrastructure, all those things. We've been recognized by the customer community in terms of the projects we deliver. And that's why you see we've won so many different innovation awards. And we continue to this day in terms of how we bring innovation to our customers. All right. So that's what we're going to talk about. And I'm going to turn it over to Russell. So he's going to talk a little bit more about Outsystems. So Russell.
Yeah, thanks so much, Steve.
Go ahead.
And I must say the last slide was pretty impressive stuff, and we do appreciate the partnership and everything that you do with Outsystems. I am actually a solution architect for Outsystems, but really at heart, I'm a software developer. I've been developing web and mobile applications for about 26 years now. So for some time, and I discovered the Outsystems platform just a few years ago. So let me share with you a little bit about what I've seen, the Outsystems platform can do, and a little bit about the platform itself. And then Jose is going to take you into, Outsystems and an application that they built specifically for pharma. But Outsystems, really, if I wanted to describe the entire platform with one slide, this would be the best slide to do that. Sometimes we refer to it as the 4 pillars of success for Outsystems. So real quick, starting from left to right, just to kind of give you an idea of what our platform has to offer. Number one, it is a full stack platform. So what that means is you can stand up the platform. It is in the cloud. There's flexible deployment options. It could be on-prem or it can be in your own private cloud. And you have everything you need to build web and mobile applications. So if you need to build out that data model, connect to existing databases, create a very complex logic or business processes, you can do all of that in the Outsystems platform. And most of it is visual, right? So it's not writing lines and lines of code, but it's a visual environment that your developers and non-developers can learn very quickly. As far as the UI UX, the best UI UX framework that I've ever personally seen in any platform, right? For building screens and applications very, very quickly. The second pillar of success, very easy to integrate. So whether you're integrating with cloud services that you already have or current enterprise systems, Outsystems makes that easy. And the platform is also extendable. So we have what we call the Outsystems Forge. It's sort of a GitHub for Outsystems where there's over 4,000 components that you can download to extend the capabilities of the platform. And we even have ways in which you can write custom code, compile that code, and run it in the platform. So the idea behind that extensibility is that your developers should never get to a point where they can't do what they need to do with the Outsystems platform. So it's wide open. Also, it has built-in DevOps tools. You can build applications in your development environment and very easily move those to test and production environments with a full CI/CD workflow, built-in monitoring, and user feedback mechanism. So all that's baked into the platform with a full platform framework for governance of all of your IT users as well as your end application users. So once again, everything you need kind of built into the platform. But finally, over on the left-hand side, the 4th pillar of success, it's really all about experience, right? So with Outsystems, you can build mobile and web applications that reach all touch points. Now, whether that is a mobile application that has some type of AI-driven chatbot or voice recognition service or something that utilizes the mobile device capabilities, what we find is that our customers are starting to reach for the stars, and they can build these types of complex applications easier and faster with the Outsystems platform. So all of that comes with the scalability and security that you would expect from an enterprise development platform, with the performance that you would expect, as well as a flexible deployment option, right? So really, if you look out there in all of the different industries, right, you can find Outsystems, but really more specific about, speaking to and about the healthcare industry and biotech and pharma. you'll find Outsystems use cases all across the value chain, right? So whether that's in hospitals or clinical trials, you'll find applications built in Outsystems, right? And one of the leading advantages of using Outsystems is that you can easily integrate with a lot of these systems that are specific to healthcare IT, right? To kind of drill down on some of these use cases in pharma and healthcare, we can kind of group most of our applications into 4 different categories, right? That would be patient experience, workplace innovation, process automation, and then also application modernization. So taking those legacy apps and modernizing them on a solid platform that's built for success in the future. But real quick, before I turn it back over to Steve, I want to kind of focus your attention on the process automation section of this slide, and some of the applications that have been built there, right? And that could be for patient booking and outpatient systems, triage systems, and then you can see here pharmaceutical approval processes and applications that make that clinical trial, building applications for clinical trials and make that process a lot easier, because we do have a business process engine within the Outsystems platform that you can utilize. And once again, it's all visual and it's very, very fast. So with that, I'll go ahead and turn it back over to Steve, and then he can tell you a little bit more about what they've been doing with Outsystems for the pharma industry. You're on mute, Steve.
Yep, there we go. So thanks, Russell. So, Russell's correct. I mean, we've done a lot of things with the platform in the biotech space. These are just some of the business areas that we've touched in terms of the style of apps. And it's interesting that whenever we go into a biotech, everybody seems to have very similar technologies, right? So they have a set of packages that they use, right? They have the ERP packages like SAP for supply chain and some of that core finance information. They might have Viva for their CRM, and all that stuff is great. They might have some sprinkling of other packages, but then there could be gaps in between those packages, right? And so it's very obvious to us whenever we go into a biotech that there's lots of areas where people can innovate. And what do I mean by that? They may need a mobile application to be able to go take information from the CRM and the ERP and maybe even a third-party database, and then present something to the end user for processing, or add some sort of a workflow that touches all those different kinds of systems. All right. And so for us, the platform is perfect for that, because 1, it's very strong on the integration side, but 2, it's very easy for us to build and show something to the end user so they can then make some decisions about how they want that application to evolve. And so here, I mean, we've done trial management, we've done health monitoring, we've done product development. If you think about the sales function and the business development function within a biotech, there's some opportunities for innovation there. If you think about what a medical science liaison might need, there's opportunity for innovation there within the marketing organization and how they interact with their communities of their pharmacy communities. A lot of areas for innovation. Okay, so we encourage our customers to, 1, think outside the box, because now you have a capability in the platform to be able to innovate. Okay, so let me make sure I can get my screen going here. So what we're going to do, we're going to talk about the case study, and this is the approach we took with this specific prospective customer was a proof of concept approach. And because sometimes when you are building a solution, it's very difficult to visualize what that solution is going to look like. So sometimes it makes sense to start small and then evolve it. All right. So this specific customer had challenges, and this is not unlike many other biotechs, managing clinical trial costs, right? So whenever you have a clinical trial going on, whether it's phase 0, 1, 2, or 3, or gone commercial, you've got costs and resources, multiple sites in different therapeutic areas, and being able to manage all that complexity, I mean, it can be difficult. Most people do it, most biotechs, and at least the small ones and medium-sized ones, do it with some sort of a spreadsheet. And then now you're dealing with, multiple cost dimensions, right? And changing information. And now it's like, your boss says, hey, run a forecast and tell me how many resources we're going to need at this site for this cost, and what's going to happen to the end date of our trial if we make these kinds of changes. And so they need a way to do analytics so they can make some decisions. So wow, it'd be great if they could have some built-in dashboards and integrate with other technologies like Power BI or Click or whatever for some reporting. So when you think about the clinical trials and how they do things with a spreadsheet, it instantly becomes more complex the more trials you have. All right. So when you look at your backlog of all the drugs you're bringing to market and or at least your pipeline, sorry, and you are looking at all the different pieces and components of that and all the the people involved, it's expensive, right? So when you do it with a spreadsheet, there's really not a centralized way to pull that data for that reporting, for that forecasting. It's difficult to manage, maintain, and what you end up with is a bad user experience, right? So what do you trust in terms of what's the truth, right? So what do we do? With this particular customer, we had a specific goal to prove. One was, we were talking about the platform. We talked about how fast we could build it. They saw a demo. They're like, wow, that's great, but prove it. Show us in our world. So we said, no problem, we can do that. We wanted to be able to show them how fast you can do things with the platform and then also integrate with some third-party technology. Let me make sure I'm scrolling here. There we go. And so what we did from a steps perspective, one, we set up the platform in the cloud. We had a demo environment for this specific customer, and we had to demonstrate to them that we could build very, very fast. And so we had the integration components, we had the UI UX, we had to show them how we could build things. And we did so in a project/proof of concept, right? So we had a very short period of time. We had a couple of guys developing over a 3-week period of time, and we treated it just like a project, right? So like an agile project. So we were very iterative. We got the requirements from them. We iterated along the way. We showed them live demos of functionality. We got their feedback. We made changes. And so we wanted them to experience two things. One, how fast can you build with the platform? And then two, what was it like to work with Noesis in terms of how we work with our customers and give them complete control and visibility over the project and experience that. And by the end of this journey, they're like, okay, we think we can do this, right? Because you don't have to, you can start with a blank screen, and iterating is a great way to do that. Okay, so what do? We define the clinical trial journey and the cost forecast processes. We said, okay, we're going to create a solution that has that clinical trial and forecast modules and applications, and we agreed upon what were going to be some of the use cases. Okay, so here we want to say, okay, let's forecast the clinical trials budget based on different cost dimensions across different therapeutic areas. We wanted to forecast the resources by demand, by type of resource, and based on the clinical trial stages and complexity. All right. The other thing the customer wanted to see is, well, I need to integrate. And so we needed to pull data in from a source. And then we, of course, we needed to integrate with a third-party technology. So in this case, they wanted to still be able to import from some spreadsheets. So we're going to show you that today. And then they also wanted to see, well, we use Power BI as a technology for reporting. We'd like to see us push data to Power BI because we're really good at Power BI, and we'd like to get data out of this system. So that's what we wanted to do. We did this with 2 to 3 developers over a 3-week period of time. It was in complete partnership with the customer as we evolved the solution. And I'm going to turn it over to Jose here, and he's going to talk about the different roles and responsibilities. He's going to walk you through a live demo. So Jose, why don't you take it from here?
Thank you, Steve. Hi, everyone. So I have 2 personas to explain. The first one, James, is an administrator, okay? So basically, he's a person that has access to all clinical trials. He has a comprehensive dashboard where we can manage or see the details of all the trials that are going on, but in a comprehensive way. And he is also responsible to approve or reject all clinical trials that are to start. On the other hand, we have Samantha. So Samantha is a clinical manager. So she is responsible for all clinical trials being executed in specific sites. She has to prepare, plan, and estimate all clinical trials. It is based on that information that James will then approve or reject the clinical trial. And Samantha is also responsible to update all relevant information on the trials along the way, as long as the clinical trial is being executed. So Steve, next slide. Thank you. So what do we have prepared for you today? The scenario that we have prepared will start with Samantha as a clinical manager. She will import some clinical trials using an Excel file. She will then complete the information of those clinical trials with all the relevant resources and costs. After that, James will then have to approve the clinical trial, but for this demo purposes only, we will skip this step. So we will jump to the next step, where Samantha will then update all the relevant information of the clinical trial that is taking place. And what else? I will also show you how Samantha can access some reports, some dashboards regarding clinical trials. And finally, I will log in as James to show you a more comprehensive view over the entire trials. Next step, please. Okay. So let me share my screen. Very well. So this is the application. As I said, let's first log in with Samantha. And let me give you an overview of the application. So this is the dashboard, a simple dashboard, where we can see the current stages or the current status of all clinical trials that are being executed. This is so that I can see the amount of trials that are going on. I can also see the active clinical trials. So since I have a filter applied, so I'm only seeing the active ones. I can also see all the sites or countries that have some trials being executed, and also the participants. One disclaimer, all the information that we have here regarding clinical trials are real, and they were taken from public sites. So this means that it's public information, so everyone has access to it, but it is real. Regarding the participants' information, all these names are fake. So no real names were used, no personal information were used. So this is randomly built with external tools that they created with all this data. Okay, just as a small disclaimer. So going on, we have the dashboard. We have down here a list of all clinical trials being executed for the Samantha view. And let's dig in a little bit and jump into a detail. Let's see this one. So I can see that the case study is over budget. Let me take a look a little bit of what is going on. So first, I have the description of the clinical trial, all the outcome measures and the eligibility criteria. This is the information regarding the trial. If I collapse this, I can also see some details regarding the trial. All the compounds applied, some clinical stuff, all the sites that will execute this trial, the participants. I have also the site costs. This is relevant for the estimation and to control the real costs of each clinical trial, participants costs, and finally the resource costs. One thing, since I'm here, one thing that I saw, for example, I can see in this list the clinical stuff that, well, the data is not sorted, so it is randomly displayed. It doesn't look organized. And as Samantha, as the clinical manager, I would like to ask the development team to change something in this screen, because I would like to have the stage on as a first column, and to have some orders also to sort the data for this. So Outsystems has a cool stuff, what we call the ECT, which is the embedded change technology, or the application feedback. This is something built in, no development need. We just need to activate this feature for a specific application, and we will allow users to submit feedbacks directly to the development team. For that, on the bottom right corner, I have right here an icon that I can use. Just click. I will set, for example, on the stage column, I can click exactly on the screen what I want to change and add some comments. So first of all, please move the stage column to the first position. Also sort the data by stage and then by role name. Let's send this, and that's it. So at this stage, someone on the development team will receive a feedback, analyze, do the change, but I will explain this in a few minutes. For now, let's keep going. Let's collapse the details and see the results. So since this trial was already completed, I also the results for this specific trial. I can see the timeline for the trial. When did it start? All the stages that the trial had, the amount, the time taken to execute this trial, and finally the most relevant parts, the budget evaluation, where I can see that exact forecast is below the effective budget. That means that something went wrong, or at least we didn't expect some costs. This is a simple dashboard, but I can use a more detailed one. So this dashboard was built using Power BI. This is not from Outsystems, but we were able to take a Power BI report and put it inside Outsystems application. So as you can see, I have some filters on the top. I have some summaries on the top as well. And I have all the charts that are relevant for someone as a manager to analyze this specific clinical trial. Okay, so let's do something different. Let's create a new clinical trial. So as Steve was saying, so we start with to import clinical trials with an Excel file. I have one right here. So basically I have 3 clinical trials. I have some information about the clinical trials, number of sites, the number of participants, and so on. These are all relevant to the clinical trials, and let's use this file to create. Okay, so let's select the file. Let's, oh, sorry, cannot have Excel open. All right, they were created. Let me take one of them. Let's say, for example, the insulin one. So I'm on the first stage, the planning one. This is where Samantha will fill in all the relevant information about the trial, all the descriptions and so on. As you can see, basically, it's the same information that we saw on the other clinical trial, but let's do a few changes. First of all, I can see that one of the compounds is missing. Let me add it. Let's select the multivitamin and add the compound. Okay, that's it. So next, I will then have to jump to the recruitment stage. This is the stage where Samantha will then upload all the forecasts and the budget for this specific trial. So let's keep going. I have all the clinical stuff already filled in. This was according to the Excel file. I have the sites as well coming from the Excel file, but now I have the participants missing. So let's start adding some participants. So we'll add William, Ryan, for example, Jeffrey, Oliver, Jack Jones, Harry, Jacob, and Charlie. Okay, so there is one left. So you can see here that the number of the participants is 10. So there is one missing. Let's add the one that is missing. So I have William, Ryan, Jeffrey, I have Frank and Oliver, Jack Jones, Harry, Jacob, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There is one missing. Sorry for this, Jeffrey. Okay. Jerry is missing. All right, so I have my 10 participants. Let's move on. So let's add some estimations regarding the sites. So for the sites, I have 2 sites. I will expect to have some energy costs, to have, well, for the rent and water supply. Okay, for the Orton Medical Center, let's say 1 item for the enrollment stage. But I also have the same costs for the other site, 1 at the enrollment stage. Very well. Regarding participants estimation, what we can expect from this, we will have clinical procedure, some specific assessments, and let's now add participants. I will add all of them. Okay, number of items. So this trial is expected to spend 5 days. So let's set it 5 for the enrollment phase. All right. What else? So I also have to add some resources estimation. And let's start. So I will have some exams costs and the lab costs for 5 days. On stage enrollment. All right. Add some research costs, data analytics, and finally some administrative costs for, let's say, 2 days on the analysis stage. And finally, some more administrative costs, documentation and archiving fees for 1 day on the results stage. All right, so this is what I've planned to have as costs for this specific trial. The next step will then be to submit this for approval, but we will skip this step and I will jump directly to the enrollment stage. The enrollment stage is basically the stage where the clinical trial is being executed. So at this point, I will add some new costs that I was not expecting to have. So let's add some participants costs. For example, some medicines were applied to the participants. Again, all of them for 5 days in the enrollment stage. Okay, so during the enrollment, I had some costs. I had set them in the application. Then I will jump to the next stage, the analysis stage. So the trial was executed. Now I will analyze the data. And for that, I had some additional costs. So let's go to the resource costs in this case and select, for example, the regulatory preparation for, let's say, 1 day on the analysis stage. Okay, another cost. At this point, the trial was analyzed, and then we will jump to the next stage, which is the results stage. At this step, we will then analyze the results and fill in the information inside the trial. But again, I had some additional costs. Sorry, I'm probably, let's say for the IT security setup fee, 1 for the results. Okay, and then let me set up the result for this. I will just copy paste the text because it's too long and words that I can even say. So let's save. Very well. So this is the scenario for Samantha as a clinical manager. She is responsible for all these steps inside the application. Now let's log out and go with James. Let as soon as I log in with James, so the dashboard is pretty the same. So again, it's the same as the clinical manager, Samantha, but additionally, he has another view, which is this one. Sorry. It's a report, again, using Power BI, and again, Power BI report that we were able to embed inside an Outsystems application. And this is the report that James, as an administrator, will use to analyze all the clinical trials that are being executed and analyze the information according with this. Okay. On the top, we have some filters. Below, we have our charts. We can select some depending on the therapeutic area. We can see the amount of participants per area and so on. Okay. So regarding the application, this is it. You probably remember that Samantha submitted a request to the development team to change the application. Let's do that right away. So now I will be the developer. I will use this back office application. This is the DCT back office that the developers use to see all these feedbacks from the users. And I can see here a new request. Let's open it. All right, so I have the screen for this specific user, and also I can see the feedback. All right, so let's do the change. For that, I will use another tool. This is Service Studio. See this? So Service Studio is the IDE that is used by developers to build applications in Outsystems. So Outsystems is a full stack development environment. That means that we can manage all the free stacks, the free layers, sorry, within this specific tool. I will start on the top right corner. You can see the data layer. With this, I can manage all my entities or tables, and with all my attributes or columns, I can also manage the relationship between all these tables. I have then the other layer, which is the logic layer. This is where I can build my code. Everything is visual, so there is no typing. I just need to drag and drop using the widgets on the left side, put it on my flow, and then I'm able to implement all the logic that I need inside this. Finally, the interface layer. This is where I can develop all my screens. And again, development is visual. I just need to drag and drop all the widgets that I have on my left side to the middle, and then see the result. I can immediately see the changes that I'm doing in a specific screen. I will show you right away. But before that, let me just explain this last layer, just not exactly a layer, but this is the process tab where I can set up some business process for the application, for specific workflows, for example, or approval flows. But I can also create some timers to execute some logic at specific periods of time or specific days to build, or for example, to clean up a few data and so on, or to update data according to external systems. So let's go back to Samantha request. She requested us to change the screen. So this is the detailed part. I will go to the clinical staff list. First change, she asked us to move this to the first position. Let's do this. All right. And then sort the data according to the stage and role name. So let me just check which query is being used for this table, get roles allocation by levels ID. And let me edit this aggregate. It's a SQL query, basically. We can design SQL queries using this. I just need to set all the tables that I need, the relationship between them. I can add some filters for the query. And finally, the step that I missed, there is no sorts. So I need to add the attributes that I want to sort the data. So first, my stage. And then my role. Let me filter this. Very well. So I've made the changes. Now I need to submit this to the server. how do I do this? I just need to use this green button, quite simple. And the platform will then be responsible to do everything for me. What are the steps being executed by the platform? First, Service Studio need to upload all the changes to the server. After that, the platform server will then take those changes, generate the C# code, JavaScript code, HTML, CSS, and so on. It will then compile that code, also create the SQL statements that may be needed to update the data module. And then finally, it will push it to the front-end server. Everything is done by the platform, so I don't need to be aware of what is going on. I just need to click it, and even if I can keep going all other changes while this is publishing. Okay, so it's taking longer than expected, but in the meantime, let me show you a few things about this. So I can also have other things with on the logic layer regarding integration with external systems. Everything is done visually again. No code is required, but I can simply integrate with SOAP services, REST services, SAPs, with MAPIs, and so on. And also there is the integration builder tool from Outsystems that can accelerate as well to integrate with all other external systems, Azure, SAP, OData, Salesforce, and so on. So everything is visual, no code is required. Change is applied. Let's see it in the application. Let's switch to Samantha view. Okay, let me use the same trial as the first one, characteristics. It was the one used by Samantha to submit the change. Let's go to the clinical stuff, and there it is. So I have the stage as the first column, and the data is sorted by stage and then by role name. And this is it.
All right. Well, thank you, Jose. We really do appreciate that. Let me see if I can get back to the slides and share that. All right. So guys, just kind of recap what you just saw. Jose showed you an app that we started with a blank screen with the customer in a proof of concept mode. We worked hand in hand with the customer using their requirements. We integrated with the spreadsheet. We integrated with Power BI. You saw a lot of functionality here because it took Jose quite a bit of time to kind of step through the different costs, the different therapeutic areas, the different profiles that we set up. And then, of course, he submitted a change request. And so what he called app feedback. And that's a vital piece of capability in the platform because it allows an end user to submit changes to the IT team, right, in a very transparent way. And you saw him submit a change request within 5-10 seconds, right? So how easy is that? We use that extensively through our projects, specifically as we're in that development, going to test mode and getting feedback from the users as they're testing out the app. And so our customers use that extensively. And then right within the development environment, you saw that it was very visual. Right? So they're not writing millions of lines of code. They're using drag and drop capabilities. And that allows us to build quickly and publish quickly. You saw him click that one-click publish button. And the platform is doing a lot for the developer. They don't normally have to do because the platform is automated and all that. So again, it's compressing that time to market. It's allowing the end users to constantly see feedback or see the application evolve, provide their feedback, and then get the application to where they want it to be when they want to go live. All right, so this is great technology. So that's it. That's what we wanted to share with you. I hope you enjoyed the session. What we'd like to do now is invite you to answer our poll. That's just going to show up on your screen. So if I can ask the moderator to pull that up. And we'd love your feedback, right? So the first question, how do you rate the relevance of the content presented today? 1 being very good, 5 being not so good, but we certainly welcome your feedback. The second question, does your company have an application roadmap in place? And if so, great, because that tells us that you've thought this out, you've got strategy and plans for the future. We'd like to see if we might be able to help. And then, of course, the third question, do you have an innovative idea that you'd like to target for a proof of concept? And if the answer is yes, of course, we'd love to be able to talk to you a little bit more, because that's really what we want to do. We want to be able to see what this is going to look like in your world. We'd like to encourage you to talk to us, transform your business and improve your experience and your journey. And as you see, saw in this example, it can start with the proof of concept, right? So don't hesitate to get in touch with us, share your thoughts and challenges. We'd be glad to help and bring in your ideas to market. Here's our email address if you'd like to reach out to us at marketing@noesis-corporation.com. And again, thank you so much for attending, everybody. I'd like to thank Russell and Jose for a great job today and for helping us out here. Thank you for watching, and let's keep in touch and have a great day. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.